Putin's latest response to claims that Russia is attempting to influence the U.S. presidential election. Our chief national security correspondent, Jim Sciutto, is with us. Jim, Putin says it's all a ploy?
That's right, and it's interesting because we've heard Donald Trump occasionally praise the leadership style of Vladimir Putin. Today we heard Vladimir Putin to some degree defending Donald Trump's campaigning style, even making some points, expressing some talking points seemingly stolen from the Donald Trump playbook. Have a listen.
Donald Trump behaves extravagantly. Of course we see this. But I think there's a reason for this, because in my opinion, he represents the interests of that part of society, and it is quite big in the United States, which is tired of the elite who have been in power for decades.
Tired of the elite in power for decades. You heard Donald Trump say that about Hillary Clinton in the last debate. But on this issue of who is behind these election hacks, of course, Russia has denied that from the beginning. Vladimir Putin has denied that multiple times. But today, he sort of jokingly dismissed the whole idea. Have a listen.
Does anyone seriously think that Russia can in some way influence the choice of the American people? Is America some kind of a banana republic? America is a great country. Correct me if I am wrong.
The crowd there went on to laugh at that a little bit there, this idea of America as a banana republic. But again, fact is, U.S. intelligence agencies, the Department of Homeland Security, took the rare step of naming and shaming Russia in public for these hacks. You'll remember Wolf even saying that it would have required the most senior levels of the Russian government, namely Vladimir Putin, to approve hacks like this.
Jim Sciutto, thanks very much for that report. Let's get back to Congressman Sean Duffy. Congressman, your colleague Mike McCall, the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee and an advisor, a national security advisor to Donald Trump, he says he told Trump Russia was behind these election hacks. Trump didn't think that was enough proof. Trump is also questioning his Republican colleagues and the intelligence community, for that matter, when generals, as far as this ongoing fight against ISIS, when you hear all of this from Trump, how will he function if he's elected as president of the United States if he doesn't trust the intelligence community, for example?
Well, just to take a side note, it's Barack Obama who has been changing the intelligence that's come out of the Middle East to make it rosier to fit a narrative that he's been fighting over there.
So are you accusing the director of national... Hold on a second. Are you accusing the director of national intelligence, the CIA director, the NSA director, all 16, 17 intelligence agencies of being manipulated by the President of the United States for political reasons?
No, what I'm saying is, and these are well-vetted stories about insiders who have provided intelligence reports about what's happening in the Middle East, in Iraq, with Syria, and with Afghanistan, of modifying the reports that have come out of their intelligence agencies in the Middle East.
Is Mike McCall, Mike McCall's a Republican. He's the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. He's from Texas. He's highly respected. Is he being manipulated as well?
I didn't say that he was. I said that the mid-level folks that are writing reports on the ground, reporting on our effectiveness in the Middle East, on our policy against terror, those reports have been modified, and the people who have written reports have come forward and expressed that openly and publicly. Now, Mike McCall is a friend of mine. He's a straight shooting guy. But I think he's heard the same story. I'm not saying that these reports are wrong that are coming out about Russia. All I'm saying is your question went to the point of, can you be an effective president if you have bad intelligence? Well, Mr. Obama, some would argue, has been an effective... He also has had bad intelligence.
No, I didn't say if they have bad intelligence. I said if he's not listening to the intelligence community and accepting their bottom line assertions about what's going on, can you be an effective president if you don't pay attention to their conclusions?
So let's go to the point. I don't care if it's Russia, if it's the Tooth Fairy or the devil that provides this information. The bottom line is we're seeing a pay-for-play scandal. You give money to the Clinton State Department or the Clinton Foundation, you get access to the Clinton State Department.
But do you care, Congressman? Hold on, Congressman. Do you care if Russia is trying to interfere by hacking various email accounts, DNC, Democratic National Committee, or other email accounts associated with Democrats? Do you care if they're trying to influence the American election system so that Trump is elected?
What I would argue is, do I care about that? Of course. But then if we have this information through the intelligence services of the United States of America, let's put it out there. Let's show how Russia is actually doing this.
But you know, Congressman, sometimes the intelligence community, hold on a second, they have to protect what they call sources and methods. They can't necessarily reveal that kind of information because it undermines national security. You're familiar with that.
Sure, but there's a lot of sources and a lot of information they can release without releasing all of it and jeopardizing the tools that they use to get that information. But that aside, Wolf, I want to tell you that I don't think it helps Donald Trump at all to have any ties to Putin. If anyone thinks that Putin saying nice things about Donald Trump is helpful in this election, it's absolutely not. Mr. Putin is a thug. He's not a friend of ours. And I think anyone that cozies up or says nice things about Mr. Putin, I fundamentally disagree with. And the Russians are smart. If they're trying to help Donald Trump, why would Mr. Putin say nice things about Mr. Trump? Because he knows that that just stirs up a lot of anger within the American voting base.
What's intriguing to a lot of experts, and I'm sure it is to you, at least so far, all of the hacked emails, for example, have been damaging to the Democrats, not to the Republicans. So far, no Republican National Committee emails or Trump emails, for that matter, Trump campaign emails, have been hacked, or at least they haven't been released. And that's why people are pointing to the Russians, by and large, and they're saying it's designed to undermine Hillary Clinton and the Democrats and help Trump. That's the argument.
And I understand the argument, and I kind of look to what Marco Rubio said. I don't know that any of us like when emails are hacked. They should be private. But I'd also know, Wolf, that there's a lot of serious things that are happening within Clinton world that have come out that give people great cause about her ability to serve effectively as the next president of the United States of America. We have issues of, again, corruption. The fact that she had this private server and didn't protect American top secret information. The fact that she came to Congress and said she didn't have this secure information on her server, and then Mr. Comey came in and said, no, actually, on that server she did have top secret information. All of this is relevant, and I think it's important that, and I've told you this before, I want to know as much information about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly, so I can make the best decision on November 8th. And I think every American deserves that. And as you've seen from these emails, I wish that Hillary Clinton would have done what her staffers had advised her. Say I had a server, apologize for it, put out the paid speeches to Wall Street, put them out there, be transparent. And Wolf, if she did that, this wouldn't even be a race, I don't think. She'd be walking away with it because she was honest and transparent, and she asked for forgiveness. And Americans give forgiveness when you ask for it.
Congressman, you make fair points on that issue, which is a fair issue for discussion, but it's a separate issue from whether or not Russia is deliberately releasing stolen or hacked emails in order to interfere in the American democratic election system. Those are two separate issues that we're discussing right now. But we'll continue these conversations down the road. Sean Duffy, the congressman from Wisconsin. Appreciate it very much. Just ahead, the First Ladies Club, how Michelle Obama's pitch for Hillary Clinton could help.
For the past 8 years, I have had the great honor of being this country's First Lady. First Ladies, we rock.
Putin's got a message that has no rival. Like Trump, he wants to make Russia great again, but with a whole new twist. He's reviving the concept of symphony of church and state, and this makes international Jewry very nervous.
В День народного единства президент России Владимир Путин стал лауреатом первой премии Всемирного русского народного собора за сохранение державной России.
The watershed event marking the symphony occurred in November 2014 on National Unity Day at a Moscow exhibition titled Orthodox Russia. Lots of symbolism here. It was a chance for Putin to exhibit his agreement with the Orthodox definition of Russia. He's a believer.
Ну, конечно, очень большое значение для всех, кто здесь собрался сегодня, имеет встреча с вами, с президентом Российской Федерации, с православным человеком. И мы радуемся, что вы вместе с нами сегодня праздновали память святого праведного преподобного Сергия Радонежского.
Укрепление православной веры. Мы живем в сложное время, к сожалению, и на международной арене, и в духовной сфере, в нравственной. Очень много проблем, которые нам приходится преодолевать, но мы сможем это сделать только следуя тем идеям, которые в свое время сформулировал.
On the international stage, it's the problem of sanctions that Russia is overcoming. Figureheads of international Jewry at U.S. Treasury, Jacob Lew, Adam Zubin, and David Cohen, now Deputy Director of the CIA, are beating on a stubborn Russian bear that won't run from anyone, especially sanction-happy Jews. Economics 101 kicks in, and Putin's a gutsy teacher.
Мы с самого начала говорили, что политика санкций, изоляции, она вообще в современном мире неэффективна, и цели ее, как правило, не достигаются. В отношении такой страны, как Россия, это просто невозможно. Достаточно хотя бы посмотреть на географическую карту.
The only map Jacob Lew looks at is the map of Israel, not Putin. He wants what's good for Russia, not what's good for the Jews.
Считаю, что нужно поставить задачу национального уровня и к 2020 году полностью обеспечить внутренний рынок отечественным продовольствием. Мы не только можем сами себя накормить, с учетом своих земельных, водных, что особенно важно, ресурсов. Россия способна стать крупнейшим мировым поставщиком здоровых, экологически чистых, качественных продуктов питания, которые давно уже пропали у некоторых западных производителей. Тем более, что спрос на глобальном рынке на такую продукцию устойчиво растет.
That means no GMOs in Russia, which Putin is stamping out. And here's the lesson for Trump. Putin's defying the Jew world order. He threw out the Jewish oligarchs. His central bank is not tied to the Rothschilds, and good health comes before big business. Let Trump begin by throwing out AIPAC operative Michael Glassner as his national political director. And America can play catch-up to Vladimir Putin.